The next task in the pre-writing phase is then taking notes. Once you found all of your wonderful resources for the internet, and there might be many different resources that you find, different articles, you don't use all of the information in each of those articles. You're only going to pull out a little bit of that information, just the information that you want for your paper and for your focus. So the note taking is the next part. And if we take a look here, this is an example of notes taken from a story called a research paper called Dragons and Dinosaurs. And this would be interesting information here taken from a page, a certain page. And these are the actual, this is the actual information here. This has not been paraphrased yet, but this is the actual information here. We cannot copy and paste that into our article. We don't want to copy and paste that. We need to take notes on that information. And I know fourth graders we did some studying of paraphrasing. So you're not going to use the exact words here. You're going to be doing some paraphrasing, just taking the information that you want. And right here, based on that passage from the text, that was actual passage from the text, then you can make the notes. And right here, one of the note cards, each of the note cards, how computers help with the learning of the age of the bones, how computers help to be able to see what something looked like, the appearance, and how computers help with the sound, maybe understanding the sounds that animals or creatures made, in this case, the dinosaurs. So this person in the notes just took brief notes about it. They didn't copy it word for word. They just pulled out the information that they wanted so that they could make it on their own, write it, make it their own through their own writing and paraphrasing. So right here, scientists use computers to learn what dinosaurs might have sounded like. They scan the inside of a Parasaurolophus head crest, and then they created a low rumbling noise by blowing air through the head crest. And again, that information is taken from all of this. So it was not copied word for word. They just pulled out the important information about the Parasaurolophus skull, and that they took scans of the crest so that they wouldn't have to open it. And then they found that there were hollowed tubes and chambers, and that the computer made the sounds, was able to make the sound. So right here, scientists use computers to learn what dinosaurs might have sounded like. All right, they scanned the inside of the head crest, and then they created that noise. The computers helped create that noise. So again, the notes are just a little bit of the details, not written word for word, but just the ideas that you want to pull from that piece of writing that you've discovered. Once you find those notes, once you find an article that you really love and you're definitely going to use and you're definitely going to pull facts from it, the first thing that you want to do is write down the exact link where you found that information. I showed you how to write copy and right click and copy and then paste. So one of my note cards, I'm using this resource right here. This is from the website, the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, and this is the web address right here. So you want to keep that web address so you can go back to it in case you forgot to write down the author's name or something like that. So you want to definitely copy and paste that into your note card. And your note cards don't have to be on index cards. Your note cards can be in a Microsoft Word document. Okay, so then that is the site where I found this information. I copied and pasted this. This is from the article, so you can see exactly the information I was looking at. It says, we monitor fish populations, abundance, growth, age, diet, and health. We also perform seasonal surveys of Lake Erie sport fishing anglers and commercial fishing boats. We assess, protect, and enhance habitat for aquatic life in Lake Erie and its tributaries. So this is a group that supports the health of Lake Erie. And my notes from all that I read here, I was again trying to find out about the natural resources, living and non-living. And one of those natural resources was the fishing industry. That's what I was getting out of this. So my notes, I say, one of the great natural resources of Lake Erie is the large supply of fish that supports anglers who fish for sport or as a job. So these are my notes. This is the link. This is directly from the article, And then this is the note, the one sentence I made based on this. I didn't copy it. I just came up with my own idea using this for support. All right. And if we scroll down a little bit further, this is the information that I've paraphrased, and this is what I will end up using in my paper. I've written it out in a sentence. If you just take notes on it, you'll have to make your sentence later. Here's another web address that I used. And again, I did the right click copy and then pasted it in so that I would be able to go back to it if I needed to. This is taken from the Ohio Department of Natural Resources. And I copied and pasted so you would see what it looks like. This is the information that they gave. These were regulations for fishing in Ohio. And it just tells the limits that you can catch, that the fishermen can catch for yellow perch, walleye, smallmouth bass, largemouth bass, steelhead, and salmon. And what I was trying to get from this were the different kinds of fish. So my notes, I said that there are many different types of fish that anglers enjoy catching in Lake Erie, including yellow perch, walleye, small and largemouth bass, steelhead, and salmon. And then I also added that the Ohio Department of Natural Resources limits the number of fish a person can catch each day. And I'm assuming that they do that to protect the fish population in Lake Erie so it doesn't get overfished. We want to continue to have fish for many, many years to be able to have them for many years, and they need to protect them in order to have that happen. So if you remember, my natural resource that I was looking at were plants and fish, plants and fish. So I found another link right here by an article by this John Lavelle about some of the plant life on the lakes, on the bottom of Lake Erie, inside of Lake Erie. And I looked at this. There are a lot of technical terms in this. It says there are two major forms of plant life living on the lake's bottom. The liaison is the long stalk algae cladophora. So those were the two that they mentioned. And then they go on to describe the liaison is a complex ecosystem that grows on the rock's upper surfaces. And it describes how it's formed. So this is pretty detailed. And then this is the link for it. And this is when I retrieved it. This is when I looked at it, which would have been, on April 28th. So then my notes, I just wanted to talk about those two different plants and what they did. And I said here that cladophora, also called long stalk algae, because that's what it's called right here, and liaison. And right here they describe what liaison is, formed by a diatom algae that after settling on rocks secretes a gel that not only secures it to the rock surface but begins to act as a trap. Okay, so I just said that it's a layer of plant life created after diatom algae collects on rocks. So those are the two forms, cladophora and liaison. They are two important kinds of plants living on the floor of Lake Erie. Again, paraphrasing my notes, I'm not copying them. Small water critters, because it mentions it down here, and I don't list them all, crustaceans, annelids, nematodes, insects, and rotifers. I just said I know crustaceans are crab-like critters. So I said small water critters like crabs and insects live in the liaison. So those were my notes there. That's all I'm getting from this. And again, different piece of paper. So I'm going to have to, these are all kind of out of order. I'm going to have to put them in order. That comes later. But first you have to gather all of your notes. Okay, and this right here, this was a link that I used, and this gave the contact information. This was written by David Moore. And the title of the article was Indicator Reestablishment of Long Absent Macrophytes in Western Lake Erie. That was a long title, and I had to really skim and scan and look for information that I thought was helpful for me, for what I was looking for, because I was trying to find out what dangers or threats there were. And one of the things that I noticed in this was that when farmers use fertilizers, and these are my notes that I took from the article, when farmers use fertilizers that trickle into the water supply and eventually Lake Erie, large algae blooms grow in the lake. And those algae blooms use up the oxygen in the lake, making it impossible for other plant and animal species to survive. Plants and fish that used to live in Lake Erie are no longer found there. So again, these are just my notes. I'm taking the information that I read, looking. This was answering my question about um, what are the threats to the resources in Ohio in Lake Erie. Make sure you take plenty of notes from a variety of at least three resources. Three resources. Try and find at least three resources and take notes. And again, you'll have to paraphrase them, but take as many notes as you can so that then when you go to organize them all, you're better to have more than enough than to have not enough. So take as many notes as you can. You can always cut them out and not use them all